This week's exercise is a funk bass groove that's played with a muted plectrum technique. Let's take a look at how to play it. So before we look at the notes themselves, it's important to look at the correct application of the picking technique, particularly with regard to playing semiquavers. So a group of 4 semiquavers should be played down, up, down, up. And if you're able to stick to this, you'll find that you begin each beat with a downstroke, which is the more comfortable way to use the plectrum. So as I talk through this exercise, I'm going to be talking about individual subdivisions and which picking stroke to use, and I thoroughly recommend that you try and stick to those where possible. Okay, let's take a look at the first bar. Okay, so the first note that we're going to play is an open A string, and this note falls just before the first bar. It's on the 4th semiquaver subdivision of beat 4 of the count-in, so literally just before the downbeat for beat 1. So because it's on the 4th semiquaver subdivision, it's going to be played with an upstroke, so down, up, down, up. So we're going to use an upstroke for this open A, and then we're going to hammer on to the A at the 12th fret of the A string. And that A at the 12th fret is the first note of the first bar. Now we're going to follow that by playing the octave A at the 14th fret of the G string, and that's going to fall on the 2nd semiquaver subdivision of beat 1, and so that's going to be played with an upstroke, down, up, like so. We then play the open A string again, and this is played with a downstroke because we're on the midway point of the first beat, down, up, down. So open A, and then we're going to hammer on to the G at the 10th fret of the A string. We're going to follow that note by playing the octave G at the 12th fret of the G string, and that note falls at the beginning of beat 2, so that's also going to be played with a downstroke. Okay. Okay, so on beat 2 we've just played this G. We're then going to be silent for the next 2 semiquaver subdivisions, or a quaver rest if you like, and then we're going to play an open A string at the end of that beat, and that's going to be played with an upstroke. So so far we've done this. Okay, so on beat 3 of the bar we're going to play this phrase. So that's C, open A string, and then D, down, up, down. On the 4th beat of the bar we're going to play 2 downstrokes because we're just playing quavers. We're going to slide from the D into the E flat and then back to the D, like so. So far we've done this. And that's going to lead us into the second bar. Okay, on beat 1 of the second bar we're going to play this phrase. So we're playing a downbeat C at the beginning of the beat, and then on the final subdivision of the beat we're playing an A, so that's going to be played with an upstroke. So we're playing on the down and then up, down, up, playing on the last up, like so. The first half, well, the first 3/4 of the second beat is silent, and then we're going to play an open E, so this is at the end of beat 2, like so. And then on beat 3, I'm going to play F sharp, open E onto G, down, up, down, like so. So bar 2 so far is... And then on the 4th beat of the bar, we just play the G again, and that rings for most of the beat, and then we play the open A string on the 4th and final semiquaver subdivision, and that brings us back into the start of the line. So bar 2 once again. Okay, let's move on to the third bar. So the open A string that we played at the end of bar 2 is going to lead us directly into bar 3. And bar 3 is exactly the same as bar 1. That takes us into the fourth bar of the exercise. So we're going to begin the fourth bar in the same way as the second. Okay, so we've got that C and the A. And then we're going to play this phrase. So we're silent for the first 3/4 of the second beat, and then we play an open A string just before we get into the third beat. And then we're going to play 4 semiquavers. That's going to be G, about the 10th fret of the A string here. Follow that with the open A, back to the G, and then a G sharp. Okay, and that brings us on to the fourth beat, where we play just an A at the 12th fret and slide downwards. So bar 4 is going to sound like this. And that's where the line repeats. Okay, so this exercise sounds great if you can apply a muted picking technique. And the way to do that is simply to rest the edge of your palm against the strings down by the bridge. And that will cut off some of the high frequencies of the strings and give a more dead sound to the notes. So instead of hearing this, we're going to hear more that kind of thing. And you'll probably find that you need to experiment with this for a while before it becomes comfortable, but it's a really nice addition to your plectrum technique, and I thoroughly recommend trying to use it. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the latest instalment in my Bass Lick of the Week series. Don't forget you can download the PDF worksheet and backing track by clicking on the link in the description below, and please do let me know your thoughts on this week's line. I'll see you next week for another bass groove.